Hey guys, it's Tim Sharmack, and welcome back to another episode of the Platform Marketing Show. I'm joined today by Grant-Shoemaker, who's near Big Bear, California. Allie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm pumped to be here.
So, Allie is in a unique type of market. So, I think this will be a really encouraging and interesting episode for those of you who are kind of in a non traditional market. Allie sells a lot of luxury homes, second homes, vacation homes near Big Bear Lake in California. So, it's not your stereotypical
No.
American Midwestern town where homes are $300,000 and all the middle class can afford a home. This is kind of a luxury, interesting niche market that Allie is in. And so, understandably, when you started the platform strategy, you're having all these questions of, is this going to work in my market? Because my market is different from all these other markets.
Yeah.
And then to tee this up, I'll let you share more of your backstory, but I know that you were on a team prior to joining platform. And so there was also this question lingering of like, is this going to work fast enough, or is it going to work at all?
hmm
If I was previously on a team, I didn't really have my own personal brand. The team got all the branding. So I know that these were all kind of variables of why you decided to give the platform strategy a shot. So Allie, I'll let you introduce actually where your business is at this year and give us some context
hmm
of what did your business look like 2 or 3 years ago when you were on the team versus where are things trending right now since you started platform?
Yeah. So, do you want me to share a little bit about how I landed with Platform?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
It was very serendipitous, I'll say, because I was getting to the point where I was seeing this trend in my business where my sphere was more of my business rather than the leads that were coming on. I mean, in the first 5 years of my business, obviously that was mostly generated by the team, but I was really seeing that I was generating a lot of my business. And of course, you're like, I'm going to go out on my own, but I've never done this lead gen thing. What am I going to do? And I just kept telling myself, I just know that something is going to speak to me. It's just going to come to me and it's going to be the right thing. And I was on Facebook one day, and I'm a part of all of those different real estate groups. And someone said, if you could do one thing for your business, what would you do? And I think it was probably one of those things where everybody went and it was like platform, platform, platform. So I looked at it and I was like, what is this? Ended up scheduling a call with Diana, and she broke everything down for me. And I was kind of like, okay, I'm giving this a year. And if I'm able to really succeed with this on my own, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to finally do it. So it definitely took a little bit longer for me. I started in August of 2023, and I'm really starting to see a drastic change in my business, a lot of it from platform now, especially this year. So typically starting in, I would say 2020, my volume would range anywhere between about 15, 20 million. And this year,
However, at that point, you were on a team,
I was
right?
on a team. Yes. And
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
why my numbers, I mean, I've listened to a few of them, like Chantel, I listened to hers because her and I had a conversation when she first joined, and hers obviously tripled, but a lot of my income was due to leads that were being generated for me.
You're split on those leads when you're on a team can start at 50-50.
50,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so even if you were selling 15 million or even 20 million on a team, you have to translate that of like, well, you probably made half of what you would normally
Oh,
be
yeah.
making.
Well, also, we had a rule too on the team. It was where the lead generated from its original generation. So, say I had a client come back to me, I've been in the business 12 years. Say I had a client come back to me after 6 years, I still had to pay that 50-50 split if I was in that range at the time. So,
You were kind of at the point in your career where you're like, all right, I'm selling 15, 20 million a year. I think I've got the hang of this.
mhm,
Maybe I don't need to be on this team anymore. But
totally.
then the big question becomes, they're feeding you a lot of leads every year and you are starting to do more of your database and everything, but there's still this guaranteed stream of
100%.
leads being on a team. And so when you go out on your own, you're taking this gamble of, can I replace that stream of business on my own? Because if you can, it's a really smart gamble. If you're making 90 to 100% on every deal versus making 50, obviously that really changes the math, not being on
Yeah.
that split with a team.
Yeah. And I would look at my numbers, and it would be like 2 years in a row post COVID. I was like, okay, you would have either made the same or more. And then I would just be like, one more year. And it was 100% platform that gave me, to be honest with you, I don't find myself to not be a confident person, but I really lacked confidence in going out on my own. I really was intimidated by it. I'll tell you that a majority of the big dogs up here, I would go to say that the top five selling teams, because most of the bigger agents up here are teams. First of all, they're 95% male, but they're also average probably 55 to 60 years old. And so I was thinking to myself, like, how am I going to go step into a listing appointment with these people that have been doing this forever? I just really kind of felt intimidated by having to compete with that. For the first 5, probably 7 years of my career, I was a buyer's agent. I was really confident in being a buyer's agent. I'm like, if I could just figure out how to be a listing agent, have the same confidence walking up to buyers, no problem. Ask me anything. I know what I'm talking about. But it definitely took some time with the listing side. And I knew that when I was going out on my own, that was going to be a majority of what I was doing, which is what today.
Yeah. Yeah. So did it take courage to sign up for platform in that moment? Or was it more of once you signed up for platform, it gave you courage to go on listing appointments because you knew that you actually had a different marketing plan?
For sure. I don't think immediately. It took probably about 6 months for me to say, hey, go look at my content. Or it was definitely pretty immediate that I was getting calls from other agents like, hey, what are you doing? Because like I mentioned, there's a lot of old dogs. That was another huge reason where I was like, this is a huge opportunity for me to be the it person when all of these people retire at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen, right? I'm looking at all these top teams, even our team lead, which is a huge reason why I also decided to leave. He moved to Utah to semi-retire. And so I was like, hey, you better get out there and brand yourself, because if you don't, when everybody retires, you're going to be trying to play catch up.
I mean, in real estate, at the end of the day, the only thing you really have long-term is your personal brand.
100%.
That's everything.
Yeah. And I was such a huge part of his brand for so long and totally proud of that. I literally had the best real estate coach ever. Would never discount that. But it was just one of those things where like, okay, it served its purpose, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
So you signed up in 2023, several years ago. It took a while to feel like it was working. Looking back now, I kind of have a two-part question here. Mm-hmm. First, what ads do you think have been the most effective in helping you build your brand in your area? And then second, where are you anticipating your business will be at this year in terms of sales volume at the current pace you're going? Keeping in mind that you're no longer on the team, so you're not on a 50-50 split anymore.
Yeah. In terms of ads, I run into so many people in town, and it's funny. Big Bear is interesting. We are 100% tourism. 90% of my clients are second home buyers. Okay. There's been some friends and stuff in town that I've represented on primary homes. But what I like about platform is that they see you as not just this, hey, I want to sell you a house, you know? I really like how my kids are in a lot of ads. And first I was a little uneasy about that because there's however many thousands of people looking at my kids, but people love just the wholesomeness of it. I got a really good response on the one talking about raising kids and just raising capable kids.
Sure.
People just really appreciate when it's not all about real estate. And that's what I love about platform. You won't find anything else like it.
The ads just feel real.
They're 100% real. They feel like they know you. I mean, I see people in the grocery store. It's so funny. I swear it always happens. My mom's in town too. We'll like go to the grocery store. She's like, this is crazy. And then she gets all worried. Are you worried? I'm like, no, Mom, it's fine. But I think people just feel like
you're at the grocery store, you're saying, and people are recognizing you or they're stopping you.
Yeah, it's flattering, but it's cool. Whenever they see you, it's, oh my gosh. But I feel like they kind of admire it because run into so many people who are like, oh my gosh, I always look forward to your posts. So
yeah, there's actually some interesting psychology here of why people view you as a celebrity, and even getting down to the evolutionary biology, I guess, of how humans process the world, like our sensory system. Mm-hmm. Historically, any figure that's speaking to people is automatically an important person. So you automatically have social status if you're addressing a group of people. I mean, that goes back thousands of years to the time of Jesus, and then hundreds and hundreds or thousands of years before that, when you think of like Socrates or Plato, Aristotle, Moses, however far you want to go back in human history. If you're speaking to a crowd, you're speaking to people, automatically then the brain processes that whoever is speaking must be an important person because they're speaking to a group of people. Just recently in human history, actually not even 100 years, like 75 years, we've had TV. So anyone on TV for our entire lives is automatically a celebrity, because you don't see just average people on TV. If you're on TV, you're automatically a celebrity. But social media and newsfeed ads on Facebook or Instagram are literally just in the last 10 years that's even existed. Yeah. And so our brains don't evolve every year. It takes hundreds or actually thousands of years for the human brain to truly evolve. So the
Mm-hmm.
fact that we've only had screens as a society for less than 100 years, and now all of a sudden you can pop up on someone's screen, essentially the human brain has not had enough time to absorb all that. So it just automatically views anyone on a screen as being a celebrity and an important person.
Yeah.
Even if in this case, you're literally just
Yeah.
a
Like,
local
just,
realtor in your
yeah.
town, people see you on a screen and therefore you're a celebrity. So it's kind of cool when that happens.
Oh, it's so cool. I mean, I love it. Even influencers, right? How
Absolutely.
many people wouldn't be famous if it weren't for social media, you know?
Absolutely. And so,
Uh,
all you're doing is leveraging that and just applying it to your
mhm.
local real estate business. So you
Yeah.
said any of these personal ads that just feel wholesome, they feel real in that they don't look like ads, right?
Mhm.
At the end of the day, that's platform 101 is
Yeah.
make ads that don't look
Don't
like
look like ads.
ads.
Yep.
So you've been doing that, and I know you've had a lot of wins this year. I know you work with Taylor as your account manager at Platform, and Taylor shares a lot of your wins with our team. Of Allie just got another $1 million listing, or Allie got another multi-million-dollar listing, and you can like track it back to the social media ads you're doing, which is really cool.
Yeah. No, 100%. Well, my biggest win this year, my biggest platform win. Um, we have, I mean, like I said, we're mostly second homes, but there's some big kind of like larger home, areas in Big Bear. And there's a neighborhood that is, I mean, your minimum is like a $1 million listing, maybe. Um, I, ironically, the team lead that I had left, lived about 3 houses down on the other side of the street from this house. And they were our best friend. They're still our best, close friends. And so I would drive by this house as it was being built. And I mean, crazy. I mean, I'm just like, what, who is this? And why are they building? Like, not why. I mean, it's amazing. Such a beautiful home. The nicest house for sure in the neighborhood. Um, and it was one of those things where you're like, oh, someone's building this custom for themselves. I mean, it's on 3 acres. He has over $500,000 in just landscaping,
Wow.
um,
Wow.
pickleball court, putting green. I mean, it is just like spectacular. Um, and I would always say, gosh, like I want to go in that house. I'm just want to like walk by and be like, hey, can I come check out your house? So I get this call. Oh gosh, it was a few months ago now, from the owners of our franchise. But I'm with Remax up here in the area, and we're the largest franchise by quite a bit.
Yeah.
We have 3 different offices. And I want to say there's about 75 of us agent wise, maybe more. And the owner called me and said, I just got a really interesting phone call. There was a seller that is looking, there's a guy that's looking to sell. He's been blown up by, however many realtors because of his house, and just called the top office and just wants like the right fit. Like wanted to ask us who we thought was the right fit. And so we're going to give it to you. I was like, we know that nobody can get as many eyes on his house but
Yeah.
you. And so I'm like, okay, this is cool. But at the time, I'm like, maybe it's about, $500,000 house or something. So he gives me the address and I'm pulling it up, and the house is new. It was only built a couple years ago. So it's actually like not populating on the map. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the house. So I called him. We had a great conversation. I think his original plan was maybe to interview multiple agents, but I mean, if there's going to be a listing appointment, I'm going to nail it. It's going to be this one. Went over, I actually sat with them for 2.5 hours. And they were like, yeah, it's yours. And it will be, I mean, we just had, it was one of those ones that you could not comp out. I'm like, let's just throw something out there and see what sticks. And I mean, I'm actually working with a buyer on it who called me directly. So we're kind of like in negotiation. So hopefully, it would be lovely. It might be a double ending situation as well.
And
but
what was the listing price on that one?
we started at 4.2 million, and I did a really big brokers open there and had, and we kind of got price opinions. And so we just dropped 3.8, and I've had pretty steady interest
Okay.
since
So
then.
it's probably going
Yeah.
to sell somewhere in the mid to upper threes.
100%. It'll probably around 3.5.
And
But
you got that listing because you know that the people who recommended you said like she's really good at social media
like no
marketing.
one, they said no one is going to get more eyes on the property than her. And
That's amazing.
that I hired a professional videographer for that one. It might be over 100,000 views. Crazy activity on that. I mean,
Awesome.
and I would run into people in the grocery store. Oh my God, that house. And then just to top it off, the neighbor called me 2 weeks after I had it listed from across the street and saw my video and wanted to list. And that's actually going to escrow today. So, and that
And
was a
what's
little
the
bit smaller, 1.1, but hey, I'll take
yeah.
it.
It was a smaller
Yeah.
house at 1.1
Yeah.
million. There's like
Yeah.
there's like agents listening to this that their market has like $250,000 homes, so
I,
that'd be like 4 transactions for
I
them.
know. I know, right?
You're like,
Yeah.
this one was a bit smaller at 1.1, but you know, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, okay, the potential just from like if I, say it, I end up double ending it and then selling that other one across the street. I mean, that alone for this year would be insane. It's all because of platform.
And like I know you've had other buyers and listings, et cetera,
Oh
that
yeah.
have come from your Facebook ads as well, right? In the
Yeah.
last year?
Oh yeah. I went on one, I went on a little, we have like a bunch of little lakefronts, but most lakefronts will start closer to the $1 million range. And this one is over on the other side of the lake. So a little bit of a tougher market, but they've been listed with 3 other agents and they called me. I was actually on vacation, met with them when I got back. And I kind of sensed, I'm like, they totally saw me on Facebook. And so I've had a harder time being like, where'd you find me? But they just came out and said it. They're like, we've been following you on Facebook for over a year now. We recirculate the listings. I have specifically one that does lakefront homes, and they're like, "You're the only one that was like promoting our house when it was listed." I'm like, "Well, I was just putting a list of lakefront homes out there, but yeah, and that one's 599. So, and that just went live about a week ago. But the great thing about it is they were listed with 3 agents and they were listed high, and I was real with them and was like, hey, you got to get the price down. And so I think we're kind of now in the ballpark where it'll actually sell. But yeah, no, I even ever since I've been with platform, there's been, I mean, we always talk about the fuzzy ROI. I know there's a lot
Yeah.
of that,
Yep.
but there's definitely a lot of business that's came from it for sure. And just even the recognition. And I would say too, the confidence that it's given me, and like, this is my brand. Like now I feel very confident in my brand. So confident when I go to listing appointments, like, hey, this is what I offer different, like scan my
Yeah. Yep.
QR code, go check out my content. You'll see, the thousands of views on all of my listing videos. It's a huge competitive edge. Who else is going to offer that?
Yeah, I
Um,
can't. I mean, honestly, now that we've been running platform for over 10 years now, I can't imagine what it would be like as a real estate agent going into a listing appointment and not having anything you do that's actually better or different than other realtors. You're
no.
just basically hoping that you emotionally connect with the
Yeah, they like
sellers
you
in
better.
some right. Cause like it's such an advantage going into a
Mhm.
listing appointment and actually being able to say, okay, I do have one thing I do that's very different than all other realtors. And then
Mhm.
you show them your social media marketing plan of what, you just explain. Most people are
Yeah.
going to obviously upload it to the MLS. As soon as it's on the MLS, it basically is going to get like redistributed across all these websites, including Zillow. Everyone does that. Everyone takes professional photography, right? But here's something I do differently. I will film a video. It'll be on YouTube and social media. And
Mhm.
look at this last one I did that got 100,000 views. If
Totally.
you can point to like actual metrics and actual statistics on how you'll get their property more exposure than any other realtor, I mean, like the listing appointment's basically done right there. Like they're going to work with you.
Yeah. Well, and two, something I've been doing recently, another thing I want to say just to piggyback on this before I say it is being on a team, I realized really made me lazy. It was, I always did well. And so it was, it's not, it was good enough. But the second you go on your own
Yeah, sure.
and you're like,
Sure.
well, if I don't do it, no one else is doing it.
Yeah.
So do
Yep.
your ads, right? Call your damn leads, which
That's
I
right.
tell.
CYDL.
Yeah. But I don't know, the postcard that was created to kind of send out, and we had like the whole
Oh, yep.
statistics with the Golden State Warriors and Adidas and all that. So I sent out a round of those and no response. And I actually moved offices when I left my team. It just was the best with clean break, you know? Um, I'm now in an office. It's great. We're young, like good energy, and everyone in there is all about the mailers. I'm like, I've done the postcard thing. It's never really worked great. I mean, a couple of things here and there, but
Sure.
and I'll do the just sold and just listed. And sometimes a good response on those, but I'm like, I need to find a way to like feel like a little bit more personal, you know? And so I actually took all of that data from the postcard and put it into AI and was like, just make this like a friendly letter, but this is what I do, and have kind of sort of like all of the meat of it mostly, but also, hey, like this is who I am. And
Right.
I've sent out 3 rounds of those, and this was in the last 2 months. I just had a listing go live from one of the rounds, and I have another one coming up, and it's in my neighborhood, which our price point is about a million up into about like high threes. And yeah, both refer those from those mailers. So, and the only reason I have that content is because of platform. Like, hey, look what I could do differently.
Right. Right.
You know, and also kind of personalizing it. Like, this is who I am. And,
It's actually personal to you. Yeah. It's not
yeah,
just like it's not your broker's logo or something. It's actually you individually. Because what
it's
that
me.
means,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you're happy at, happy at Remax or whatever, and that's fine. But like the reality is that many agents change brokerages all the time.
Yeah.
And they're worried about, oh man, am I going to lose business because what if people are loyal to whatever? But it's like, if you actually have a personal brand, no one cares where Allie hangs her license, right? Like
Yeah.
if you were to move next week to some other brokerage, your brand follows you to that brokerage, whether you're with Remax or KW or any other company, EXP,
Mhm.
Real, whatever. Like people are loyal to Allie Shoemaker. They're not loyal to Remax. And so like if you
Totally.
were to ever move, you kind of have that peace of mind of like, I actually have a personal brand, right? Where
Yeah.
people want to work with me specifically.
Me
They don't want to work
specifically.
with the team or they don't want to work with this brokerage. They want to work with Allie, and
Yeah.
that's a very powerful place to be.
100%. And I felt like, and that was kind of another thing that really pushed me, is I always really did have that loyalty with past clients and customers. Like, it was very rare that I would see, other people listing homes that I had sold to clients. And we actually have a really short turnaround. We're on average a 5-year turnaround, because it's like, woohoo, let's go get a house in Big Bear. We're going to go there all the time. And then all of a
Sure,
sudden,
sure,
Johnny has baseball games, 3 times a week, and we can't go anymore. So it's like very common for me, like, to hear from people in the 3 to 5 year span.
sure.
So that was kind of one of the things I'm like, okay, you need to, okay, you're popular among your clients, but how do you become popular to, people that
Right,
don't know about you?
right.
Um,
I
and
think I think every agent at some point in their career eventually hits that kind of ceiling
yeah.
where it's like, okay, I've already maximized the amount of business I could possibly get from my friends and family and immediate sphere.
Hmm.
And usually all that happens within the first couple of years you're an agent. Like everyone that in your personal sphere who's thinking about buying or selling a house already knows about you.
Yeah.
And at some point, you've got to start investing in marketing to broaden that sphere, right? So
Oh,
it's not just
absolutely.
your literal friends and family, but you want the whole community
Hmm.
thinking about you. And that's, I think, what you've been able to achieve in the Big Bear Lake area is that, okay, like now, like the whole community, the whole town probably recognizes you or at least recognizes your name.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, if you're getting stopped at the grocery store and you're just out grocery shopping, that's pretty
I
cool.
used to go to the grocery store in like a hat and yoga pants. Can't do that
Right. No,
anymore.
right. Exactly. Yeah. It's actually that's one of the biggest complaints of platform clients is like, I can't go to Walmart in sweats anymore because people will recognize me. So I
Yeah.
have to actually, get all dressed up and whatever.
Yeah. My
That's
favorite
funny.
was, I walked into the grocery store and this guy, I'm like, oh gosh, he just knew right away. He's like, you're a lot smaller in person. Like, what does that mean? But yeah, it's interesting. It's been fun. I yeah, it's obviously the best thing I ever did for my business.
How much are you actually spending on ads every month? Do you know how much you're spending
Yeah,
in the
Taylor
Facebook
Taylor told me
ads?
because I'm like, what's Tim gonna ask me? Between 1,500 and 2,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I did on the big one that got, almost 100,000 views. I think go about 2 to 300 on videos like tours, and I
Okay.
went 500 on that. And you could definitely see the difference.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
you
obviously
wanted
that
to.
house spoke to it's for its, self, but it hit a large audience for sure.
Yeah, well, you know that the thing is like, hey, if you spend $500 on that listing video and it gets a ton of video views, it's not just going to help that house sell. I mean, it probably will because it sounds like you actually picked up a buyer from your
Yeah.
marketing, but like you never want to bank on that. Like the real reason you do it
Oh
is
yeah.
just to get a ton of exposure for a listing, and it's not even to sell that listing, right? Because you and I know like what ultimately sells a
Mhm.
listing is price, right?
Yeah.
But once it sells and you have that, essentially it's a case study,
Yeah.
right? Of like the next listing appointment you go on, you can say, hey, here's a recent home I sold that had 100,000 video views and we ended up selling it. And this was such a unique property. There wasn't even comps for it.
Yeah.
Like that's such a great story to tell on your next
Oh yeah.
listing presentation that $500 is like the best money you've ever spent.
Oh, yes. And two, that's the type of house that somebody doesn't know that they want and they have the kind of money to just be like, oh yeah, you know? So that was kind of another reason I was like, maybe it'll just land in someone's lap. We'll be like, oh yeah, let's go buy that house in Big Bear, you know? So um yeah, it's that got a great response. And I'm starting to I have a videographer that started doing kind of forever. I just kind of did the cell phone deal, and then my husband got me the handheld one.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Yeah, and it's fine, but I for the bigger ones, I kind of committed to like anything over 1 million. I'm going to hire a professional to
Sure.
do it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, you're probably making what, like a $25,000 plus commission on anything
Oh,
over a
yeah.
million. So,
It's like kind of worth it. Yeah. And
yeah.
he's
Yep.
yeah, started packaging stuff for me, which is nice because I'm giving him more work. So no, it's definitely worked out.
Where do you think, Allie, your business would be at this year in terms of sales volume? Like, if you had never started platform, like if you try to, in
Mhm.
theory, I know it's hard to do, but like, could you theoretically look at like all the deals I've had because of the exposure, even if it was a friend of a friend who saw one of the videos, you know what I mean? Like, if you
Mhm.
were to imagine you're going into 2025 and you had never started the platform marketing strategy, where do you think your business would be at compared to where it's actually at now?
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, last year was weird. I mean, the start of last year was kind of, I really, like I said, I feel like it took some time with platform and now I'm really kind of seeing the results. But I mean, probably somewhere around half. I feel
Sure.
like, I don't know. I honestly don't know what else I would have done, to be honest. I mean, as you know, everyone does the Zillow thing. And they now are doing, I mean, we were Redfin partner agents forever when I was on the team, and now they're doing that Flex program. So they're feeding all their business to their Flex customers because they're
Right.
making a ton of money off of them. So I mean, that was the biggest struggle is like, how do I get my name out there? And I think that's really hard to do. Like I was telling you, all these top dogs, they just have a name because they've been doing it forever. Like, how do you, put yourself out there? So,
And
I
you're
mean,
you're on pace this year to hit, you think, 20 million?
probably 25 to 30. Cause
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, two, I mean, we have right now, we have 350. We actually just merged with Lake Arrowhead. Lake Arrowhead is another mountain community that's really close. We merged MLS systems with them. So we have 350 active members, and I'm sitting at 15th right now.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm second for individual selling. So a majority of those above me are teams.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're you think, you're on pace to probably end up the year selling 25 million to potentially even 30 million,
Hmm.
but without the platform marketing strategy, if you were to kind of mentally just be like, would I have gotten this deal or would I have gotten that one?
Hmm.
Like you think you might
Hmm.
actually be closer to like 10 to
10 to
15 million.
15. Yeah.
So it's made a big difference for you then.
Oh, huge, huge. And it's funny. And I'm sure a lot of the most, successful platform, clients think this too. it's so much more than just about like looking at the numbers. Like, oh, because if you hire like Grizzly Leads or Zillow or whatever it is, you're just obviously probably very much looking at the numbers because
Yeah,
what
just
do
leads,
they
leads,
offer you?
leads. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, like it's just leads. Like,
You
what
are
do they
you are
offer you?
literally just buying leads. And so if
Yeah,
that's what you're getting, like of course the only number you're going to care about is okay, what's the cost per lead? Because that's all that matters. Yeah.
totally. And with platform, I mean, there's so much value in just the personal side of it. Um, you know, it just feeling like you're part of something, right? Like you're part of something so much bigger, and it's personal. And we go to the masterminds, and I have
Were
calls.
you at the mastermind this year?
Yeah.
Did I meet you? I don't know if I met you or not.
Um, I don't know, like formally, probably not. I did.
Okay.
I saw you. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously. Yeah, but love
It's like gotten big enough now where it's like we have, last year we had 250 people there.
Yeah.
So it's like I no longer immediately recognize everyone. Like I
Yeah.
don't know everyone's faces the way I used to like 5 years ago.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
So I was like, it's possible I met you, but I honestly don't remember because I met so
Yeah.
many people. So I apologize if I didn't
No,
recognize
all
you.
good. No, then it's so funny too because I go to the Remax convention every year, and that's just
It's R what's it called?
R4.
R4. Yep.
Yeah, and it's fun, but that's what it is. It's fun, and
Yeah.
it's like
Sure.
I'm like, if you can get one takeaway, which typically you do from like the main key speakers, but yours, I mean, so much takeaway. Just so cool too that it's not 100% real estate related. It's about just being a good person, like building. Was it Jared this year? Was it
Jared
Jared?
Sebesta. Yep.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh, fantastic. I mean, so related to him and his story in so many ways when he was like talking about the hard kid. I've got a hard kid, but just like listening to those types of people is so inspiring. And
Were there other agents that you got to meet up with at the mastermind? Like, did you meet anyone and go out to, dinner or anything like that?
so I'm originally from Lake Tahoe. That's
Okay.
up north, kind of in the bend of
Yep. Yep. I was
and
just there a couple years ago.
did you?
Yeah, it was
Nice.
it was my first time being in Tahoe, but it was amazing. So
It's
so beautiful.
Yeah. Uh,
Also, I was driving a motorhome on those mountain roads because
oh my gosh.
we came in from Northern California, and I will say like those switchbacks getting
Oh, so
into
bad.
Lake Tahoe coming from like
Sacramento.
yeah, like
Yeah.
was absolutely terrifying because like
Oh
the
yeah.
overhang, I'm pretty sure like the edges of
Yeah.
the
You're like,
motorhome I was
we
driving
might be losing this.
were like literally hanging over the edge, and there
I know.
wasn't guardrails on some of the stuff, so I was just
Yeah.
like white knuckling. I mean,
Yeah.
as an adult, I don't know if I've ever been that scared.
And you were probably doing it in like the summer or something, not even the winter. The
No,
winter.
yeah, we were coming in. I remember I was really pissed off, so I'll probably like remember this forever. We came in the couple days before Memorial Day weekend. And so it was like spring, whatever. We didn't even plan to go up there. We were driving to see the sequoias.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Long story short, we rented an RV in Florida and drove 10,000 miles on it in 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
I have a sister-in-law. My wife's sister lives with us full time. She's like paralyzed from the
Oh,
waist down, and just she had never really seen the country, hadn't got ever
oh,
like
that's so
she had like
cool.
never seen mountains before. So I was like, all right, we're gonna rent an RV. We're gonna go take you to the Grand Canyon, show
Oh,
you,
nice.
like the redwoods and the sequoias, and we'll go see Mount Rushmore and see Colorado. And we basically drove the whole western
Oh, that's
U.S.
rad. I'd
and
love to
and
do that.
and basically did it all in 2 weeks. But when we rolled into Sequoia, it was like a snowstorm, and I was like, all right, I'm not taking a rented motorhome up into a snowstorm in the
No.
mountains. So we skipped that, drove north.
And you got good
Um,
weather in Tahoe?
we did. We had
Good.
beautiful weather in Tahoe, but it was just absolutely terrifying driving in a rented. I mean, it was like the skinniest road in those
Especially when
mountain
you're not used to like
switchbacks.
operating. Like it's not like that's your motorhome. You're
Oh,
like,
it was like a 36-foot motorhome too. So it wasn't like some tiny little thing. It was
no.
absolutely terrifying. But once we got there, Tahoe is so pretty. It's
It's
the only other place on earth I think I've seen that's as pretty as like Lake Louise up in Canada. If you've ever been to a Banff
I
National
have been
Park.
to Lake Louise. My dad's Canadian, so
Oh, okay, yeah, like
yeah,
that's. I always tell people Lake Louise is the literal prettiest place I've ever seen in my
it
life.
really is.
It looks fake
It
how
does look
crystal
fake.
clear the water is in the
I know.
Whitecap Mountains, and Tahoe is basically the American version of that.
It totally is. Yeah. And Big Bear, it's funny because I never planned to live here, by the way. I was like, get me out of the mountains when I graduated high school.
So
But
you're from Big Bear originally?
no, I'm from
No.
Tahoe. But when I graduated
Tahoe.
high
Okay.
school,
Okay.
I was like, I was born and raised. My parents still live there. Went to San Diego and I met my husband, so that's how I landed up here. But I love Big Bear because it's so close to everything.
Right.
Tahoe's
Right.
kind of far removed,
Yep.
but yeah. So I got a gal on there from Tahoe. So a girl that I knew from high school. She actually cornered um she's like, hey Peter, my dad, they were at a birthday party, and she's like, what is Allie doing? And so he texted me like, what is she doing? What are you doing, like, what's it called? And I mean, she had a call with Diana, I think the next week, and signed on. And so I think I haven't talked to her in a while, but I think she's doing pretty well with it too. um and so I ended up, her and I sat together most of the time just
Oh,
because.
cool. Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably didn't branch out as much as I would have liked to. Whole family came. We
Yeah.
did,
Because it was at
the whole
Disney
Disney
and
World thing.
yep. Yep.
Yeah, so it was kind of one of those things where you probably didn't, get as much of the mingling part out of it, but yeah, was still
Well,
a great
yeah,
time.
I love the overall sense of community that the platform has. I think you hit the nail on the head that you're like, it's not just buying leads. Like
No,
platform is so much more than that. Like,
yeah,
let me ask you, if you were to put it into your own words, let's say someone's listening to this podcast
hmm,
and all they know is that platform is a marketing program for realtors, but naturally you probably just compare us to Zillow then, right?
yeah,
How would you describe it in your own words of like, what does platform actually do? Like when you sign up for the platform marketing program, what are you getting as an
yeah,
agent? Like what does platform actually do?
yeah. And that's the big question, right? I remember I had the call with Diana, and she kind of gave me, this is kind of what you do. And I remember, I think I had my first, I think Max helped me out in the beginning. Like he kind of
Okay.
got me going, and I'm like, okay. And I don't, I never expected to like feel like as passionate about it as I do. I mean, there's no other lead source out there that offers like as personalized as an approach. I mean, first of all, it's motivating because of the results you see, but it's also, you're held accountable every week with your account manager. I mean, what other lead source is going to have you speak personally to someone? And I've become so close with Taylor. Like we talk and it's like we're like good friends, we're like, what's
Yeah.
up, girl? Like,
Yeah.
um and she's so good at holding me accountable, but having that like kind of like personalized approach, and then just having the Facebook page where everybody roots each other on. Like, what other lead source are you going to be connected with all these different agents of throughout the country, that you can be like, hey guys, I just listed this amazing house, can you just go comment on the video? I mean, who else does that? And
Yeah.
so it's motivating. Like it's not like, oh, we're all against each other. You sign up for Zillow and it's like, everyone's against each other. Who's getting the lead? I mean, there's no other lead source where you're going to have like that type of connection, which I love. So,
And yeah, and that all comes back to just platform works with one client per market.
oh
And
yeah.
so just, inherently that means no one in the group is your competition because everyone has their own market exclusivity. But with
Mm-hmm.
any other marketing program, whether it's, Zillow or anything else, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a zero sum game because any lead that you
Totally.
got is a lead that now someone else can't get. And so there
Mm-hmm.
absolutely is competition. With platform, there's not though. Like, it's kind of cool knowing that all this success and the brand you're building in the greater, Big Bear area, you don't have to worry about some competitor hiring platform and then doing the same thing because like they can't because we'll
They
say
can't
no.
unless they want to
Yeah.
figure it out themselves, which good luck, man.
Right.
Well, it was funny too. I got a text from a guy that works in our within Remax, and he's like, can we go to coffee? Can you just tell me what you're doing? And I was like, well, here's the thing. There's not really much to tell. Like I have a, company that does it for me. And he's like, okay, well, send me their info. I think I'm going to sign up. I'm like, yeah, you can't.
That's awesome.
But it's been funny too, because there's this big age gap up here with agents. I mean, we've got like your top dogs that are like 60s,
Yeah.
and then it's kind of like very slim. I'm 30, it's going to be 36, kind of in our like that 30 to even 50 range is very slim, but we're
Right.
seeing
Right.
a lot of like new kids on the block like coming in too. So like younger crowd, like that's definitely bigger than I would say kind of my age group. Um, I will go to tell you that I never once saw anybody do a video tour before I started doing them. And that was
Sure.
like one of those things where,
Sure.
I feel like I'm like, okay, like I did drama in high school. Like I got this. It's no big deal. But that was definitely like a hard thing to get used to doing. But the amount of the youngsters that are out doing the, I'm like, okay, come on. Like, but whatever. It's
Yeah.
flattering. And obviously they're
Well,
not
the
putting
thing
any
is, even if you go film a video though, like that doesn't mean you're going to get any eyeballs on it, because
no,
most people who upload videos to either Facebook, Insta, YouTube, whatever, it's like, congratulations, you got 120 views,
totally.
and there's no strategy behind it. So again, even if someone went out and filmed a really creative video, let's say for one of their listings,
Hmm.
um, if there's no follow-up retargeting strategy where if someone watches that video, now they start seeing all your other ads, um, it's kind of like, okay, well, people might view it and then they'll totally forget you because they'll never see you again.
And what is the likelihood that they're actually going to go and be like, oh, because I saw that video, I'm going to go follow you.
Right.
They
Right.
just won't. Even the activity that I get on my page, a majority, I mean, they're not, I don't have like a ton of followers. It's not like everyone that watches my videos goes and like hits follow.
Right. Right.
Um, so you'd have to have like that commitment, which is, I think, pretty rare.
Yeah. Like there has to be a broad strategy behind what you're doing and you're consistently creating content. Because even if you have a couple ads that work really well, it's like, well, you don't just want to run the same ads all year, because then people would keep seeing the same ads over and
Hmm.
over and over again. How many ads a month are you typically doing? Are you doing 6 to 8 or 10 or
I started out really strong in the beginning of the year and then I got so busy. But no, I'll typically do, I would say, well, I definitely do my video tours, probably like 5 to 7.
okay, cool. So like
Yeah.
every at
And
least at least every week there's at least one or two new
yes.
ads going out.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And Taylor laughs because I, I kibosh a lot of them. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that. But I give her so much credit because my set list is always very, I usually like, I'm like, yep, this all works.
Well, it's like
Uh,
even if you're just doing 6 ads a month though, that's
oh
not a
yeah.
lot, because we have some clients who'll do 10 ads every month, right? But even
Yeah.
6 ads a month, it's the long game that matters, because 6 ads a month multiplied by 12 means that in a given year,
Hmm.
someone on your retargeting list who clicked on one of your ads, which means they'll keep seeing all of your retargeting ads, right,
Hmm.
is going to see in a year 72 different ads from you,
Yeah.
right? Like, so of course they're going to remember you. Of course you're building a brand if throughout the course of a year they're seeing
Hmm.
72 ads. It's just like, that's why I don't really worry if some random agent films a listing video, because it's like, are you doing 70 other
No.
retargeting ads throughout the year? Like
Yeah.
it's just not even close to the same thing.
No, no, but I was, it's funny. You're like, wow, okay. That was kind of like my goal all along was like find something different.
Sure. Sure.
Um, like I'm not gonna sign up, and spend $10,000 a month on Zillow. It's just like,
Right.
you know, and then have to work so much harder. And I just that's what I would say about platform. Like, if you want something that's bold and different, yeah, that's what it is.
And do you have a team or an assistant or a buyer's agent or anything with you, or is it just you?
It's just me now.
Okay.
I hired the calling the leads thing is definitely been my biggest challenge, and I actually got like a separate line, and I hired somebody to help me do, like, I'd had like a script, because I'm like, if I'm not going to call them, at least somebody should. And I
Sure.
had a really good response. From people just saying like, oh yeah, have her follow up, blah blah blah. So I'm to the point where I would like to have a buyer's agent that, like, that's there, that's, and I do, if people want to hear from me directly, then I would be like, yeah, like, hey,
Sure.
can I help you? Or do you want to schedule a call with Allie? But
Yeah, that's the trick when you're at that level of sales volume, right? When
mhm,
you're selling, 20, 25, 30 million, especially if your price point is often around a million.
yeah,
It's kind of like understandable if someone calls in from the ad because they've seen your other marketing that they specifically want to work with Allie,
yeah.
if they're buying $1 million or a multi-million dollar house.
Oh, for sure. And that we had that same. for instance, like the team that I was on, it was him, like it was his name,
Sure.
but I usually like I'd be the one to call or someone else would be the one to call. And most of the time they're understanding, but there was definitely those pushback times where like, no, I just want to work with him. Like I want to
Sure.
work with him. And so it's kind of that same idea that I would like, I mean, to have those sit there doesn't make sense. And if I could just get someone on, and be like, hey, and have them on a split and,
Yeah. Yep.
and have some type of model like, hey, if it's a certain dollar volume or whatever, it gets pushed back to me. I mean, that's kind of how we always did it too. But yeah, so I in the process have somebody that is getting their license. Um,
Okay.
it's actually my daughter's best friend's mom. And we were at Disneyland and she's like, I need some, I kind of was always thinking about getting my license. I'm like, girl, get it. And because I really need help from an assistant perspective too. I have a great TC and she handles everything like really beautifully and I just pay per transaction. But
Sure.
there's now a point where it's kind of just become more of a workload and I just don't want my business to suffer because of it.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So yeah, the idea is that I'm going to bring her on and just kind of test it out probably. Just kind of pay by the hour sort of thing. And then just if she converts any of the leads, because she'll be new, but it's like, she got to get out there and show
Yeah.
property and do
Yep.
all the things. But um, ultimate goal, I'd like to have a team with, 3 buyers agents, have a full-time assistant. We'll see.
Well, the thing is, if you can create the demand for it where you're bringing in the leads, then that can work.
Yeah.
It's just that
Well,
most people, I think, who try to build a team, they don't realize like, hey, no one's going to be on your team if you're not providing some sort of leads or,
100%.
mentorship or like, so if you're going to do that, you have to have a surplus of leads to share with your team above and beyond the business that you're going to work yourself.
Totally. And I think for me too, like I very much like having the freedom of this job. I mean, obviously it keeps me very busy, but you know, um being able to like I'm a mom first and foremost, that's
Yep.
what's really important to me and I would never want my kids to one day be like, "Oh yeah, we had a great life, but all you did was work." And I think that the second you open up that team door and I can say because I watched it with my team lead, it's dealing with the drama, dealing with
Right.
people's problems. Hey, this is happening and you're the first person that they go to,
Yeah.
rightfully so. But do I want that? Like I have the luxury of going up to my parents' house in Tahoe for 3 weeks every summer and bringing my kids, and I can just work with my clients and from a distance and not have to
Yeah.
worry about other things. And so I go back and forth. Um, of course the money is the intriguing part, but it also at the end of the day,
Although I would also tell you that many people that even building a small team, even if it's just a couple people, they often will say, I was actually making more net money when I was just selling on my own.
mm-hmm.
Because when you start adding the expenses of, all right, if I have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people on a team and I need to generate leads for them and
Yep.
I need to pay for the CRM software subscriptions for them, I need to pay to
Mm-hmm.
host their websites or blah, 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 blah. It
Totally.
very quickly, even if your sales numbers increase on paper, you're actually left with not keeping as much as you would have had you just been
Well, yeah, and not
yeah,
to mention the time factor too.
absolutely. I mean, frankly, I'll just say this. I'm doing like free consulting right now on this episode. I would find it very hard to believe that you would be more profitable or have a happier life building a team rather than just
Mm-hmm.
selling, let's say 25 million
Mm-hmm.
and trying to, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
trying to either hire a full-time assistant that is salaried. So maybe you pay them
Mm-hmm.
60 grand a year,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, and they can get licensed. And if they can convert any of the leads or even show property on weekends or show property every now and
Mm-hmm.
then, then you'll share whatever 10% or 20% of the commission with them if they help show property. So
Yeah.
basically that's your safety valve. If like
Yeah.
if there's ever a client that you just don't have time to work with or they're only available on some weekend you're not there, you have someone you can technically kick the business to. I
Mm-hmm.
would say the best case scenario for someone like you is like sell 30 million and make, I mean, because 30 million is what, $700,000 in GCI,
Mm-hmm.
if not more, depending on what split you're on with, brokerage.
Yeah.
Make that and still have a life.
Totally. And that's honestly, that's where I'm leaning. Not to mention I'm the person where y'all be like, can you help me with this? And the second they start doing, I'm like, no, you're not doing it the way I want you to do it. Let me do
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
myself.
yeah.
So I would be, you know, it would be, I would definitely, and I wouldn't call myself like a micromanager, maybe a little bit. But it would be hard for me to like relinquish control
Yeah,
too.
well, it's an entirely different business model. That's what I wish more
Yeah.
agents understood before they go build a team is like building a team is not better than being a rock star individual producer. It's not
Hmm.
better, it's different. It's an entirely different thing. You're going to spend
Yeah.
your day managing and keeping your team accountable and making sure they're following up with their leads and they're doing their revenue generating
Hmm.
activities. You know, it's not this like passive income where, oh, I have a team, therefore money comes in every month and I don't have to do anything for it. Like that's absolutely not what it is, you know.
No.
And
Yeah.
so many agents pursue that thinking like, oh, cool, well, I'll just get a split of all the people that are on my team, and it's essentially passive income. It's like anything but passive.
Totally. The
Um,
only thing maybe is you get better from a numbers perspective, which at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, as long as I'm in that top 25, I'm good.
no, yeah, like the numbers will always be higher gross, right? Because your team is
Yeah.
selling, but
How much
like,
did you really?
how
Yeah,
much did you keep, and were you working 80 hours a week or were you working 40 hours a week? You know,
totally. Yeah.
and that's a really important conversation to
Yeah.
have. So
Yeah.
of all the retargeting ads that you've done, whether they were photos or videos,
Hmm.
um, which one would you say got the most like engagement in your community, where people were commenting on it, like people were talking about it? Was there any
Hmm.
one you can point back to that seemed to just get the most engagement in
Yeah.
the Big Bear Lake area?
Hmm. My bloopers ad.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I did. I did a blooper reel at the end of the year this last year. And I mean, thankfully, my two videographers are two of my close friends. And so they just keep it rolling, and we did this whole, it's probably like a 2-minute bit of just all of my bloopers. And it was a hit. And I saw so many people in town, like even just friends, like, oh my gosh, that was so good. It was so funny. Again, hey, yeah, you see these perfectly polished videos, but guess what? There's like 20 bloopers in it, like there was one house where I was standing by the door. I mean, could not get it right. It was like 10 in a row. And I'm like, what is happening? Um, and so it was really, and even when I opened it up, when they edited it and everything and sent it to me, I'm like, I love this one so much. And it was talked about for a while and it
Well,
got some.
it shows you're human, right? It shows
Totally.
you're a human that yeah, you might see these polished videos that come
Yeah,
out, but like what you're not seeing is the 47 bloopers I made trying to say the right,
totally.
where so it just positions you as being a real human being, right?
And honestly, that is top three. What platform has offered is just, hey, I'm human, and yeah, I can sell you a house, but at the end of the day, like, who I am before you even pick up the phone and call me, right? Like,
Yep.
if people can follow, like, I show up to that lakefront listing, they've been watching my ads for a year, so they already kind of knew me, and the
Yeah.
cool thing about that is they've already decided that they're using me. They didn't need to sit down and
Yeah, that is the fundamental difference between a lead that comes from this platform style of marketing versus frankly any other type of marketing, whether it's Google, PPC, Zillow, whatever, is
yeah.
that when a lead calls you to, list their house, they're calling because they specifically want to work with you. They
Hmm.
specifically want to work with Ali Shoemaker, right?
Yes.
When a lead comes from Zillow, it's just because, hey, I clicked and I want to get a showing of this house and I'm interested in the house, not the realtor. And
Yeah.
Zillow just sells that lead to, whichever realtor is willing to pay for it, but they don't care about who you are. They just want someone to show up who
Yes.
legally can open the door to this listing,
And they
right?
don't even, it's so funny, they don't even read half the time, because we were on a Zillow line from on my team. I still think that they probably do that too. And I can tell you the amount of times where people don't realize. I mean, in Zillow, you have like a
Right.
sponsor person and then you have the listing agent.
Yep.
And it
Yep.
very clearly says premier agent, listing agent. And
Yep.
the amount of people that click the premier agent and think they're calling the listing agent, so they don't care.
Right.
And sometimes they just want to talk to the listing agent.
Well, again,
Um,
like all the focus, the intent had everything to do with the listing. Like the intent
yeah,
was, I want to schedule a showing of this listing. I want to find out. Yeah, they don't care about who you are. So like, if they actually are calling you because they specifically want to work with you, That's the difference between, let's say that person gives you a call on a Saturday night and they're like, hey, can I go look at this property on Sunday afternoon with you? And if you already had plans to spend time with your family, or where you're like, hey, I don't work Sunday afternoons, whatever. If you have a powerful personal brand and they actually called you because they, again, specifically want to work with you, that's the difference in that moment of having the confidence to say, hey, you know what? I'm so sorry. I'm busy Sunday afternoon, but I'd be happy to show it to you first thing Monday morning. Would that work for you? And in that moment, they'll actually respect you enough to be like, oh, yep, totally fine. I'll see you Monday morning. But if you're not positioned that way and people don't feel like you're kind of a local celebrity that they're like lucky to get to work with, you know, then in that moment, if they want to go look at that house on Sunday and you say no, they're just going to find some other agent.
Find somebody else. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And that's the cool part too, is I really needed that like listing agent push, and platform, you know, really kind of pushed me in that direction. I mean, like I said, you got those people that called me, like they've been watching me for a year. So
how many leads just in 2025? And by the way, when we're recording this, it's like late April 2025 when we're actually recording this live podcast. How many leads so far this year would you say came to you from the various platform marketing campaigns?
So do you mean like what came through my CRM?
No, just like any lead that
just like people that like actually like that I converted. Well, you know what? That's funny. And that's going to be hard to answer because I can tell you
because the
that
fuzzy ROI
on those 2 listings alone, I'm on the $1.1 million listing. I had 4 buyer calls on that, and I'll probably eventually end up selling them something, which I'm not doing as much buyer activity, but as you know, more listings, more buyers.
Exactly.
Especially on properties like that. I mean, when there's a house, you know, listed around the, you know, in a not so great neighborhood, maybe in the $200,000 to $300,000 range, like they don't care as much to work with the listing agent, but these bigger, higher end homes, they want to work with the listing agent. So, I mean, I can tell you for sure this year, I would say probably about 4. I think I have 12 active listings. 4 of those are definitely directly related to platform. One is an escrow because of platform. And I would say between those 2 houses, I probably have like 6 buyers, like six like actively looking buyers.
That came because of your marketing, that came in because of your Facebook ads, Instagram ads, etc.
Yeah. And it's like a snowball effect, right? I mean, if you think about that initial call with the owners and what that translated to, I mean, I still kind of pinch myself. I'm like, that's, you know, it's crazy. So.
Well, Allie, congrats on all your success. It sounds like your
you.
business is at the point where it's, you know, almost doubled from where it's at before. Your income is probably doubled because if you're selling 25 million this year, but you're on your own, you're not, you know, you're not on a team any longer on a 50-50 split. Your income has probably gone up dramatically here in the last year. So congratulations to you on that. You deserve that success. And it'll be really cool to see where your business is at a year from now. Cause I know that you are still snowballing. It's still growing.
Oh yeah. And it's, you know, like I said, just keep building on that brand and just keep becoming like that name in people's mouths, you know?
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely been cool. I gave you all the props. You created something great.
Thank you for your time. Hopefully this episode was encouraging to anyone, especially if you're in like a second home vacation market where you're like, hey, my market's unique. My market's different. Well, humans are the same everywhere, right? So the same principles that are going to work with humans in another market are going to work elsewhere. You just have to adapt the strategy, you know, to your circumstances. And Allie has clearly done that. Also, shout out to Taylor. Taylor, if you're listening to this, you're a rock star. And Taylor is a huge part of your success. So shout out to Taylor. Guys, thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Platform Marketing Show.
Thanks.